Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Thursday, December 27th, 2018. And we're going to do another earthquake update tonight. And I'm going to show you the smoke here coming from Mount Etna on NASA Worldview to begin with. And we're going to go over some comments that were left under the last video and talk about some things that were brought up. And we're going to look at sulfur dioxide and ozone over in CAMS, and then we'll do the earthquakes. So I hope everyone is doing well and recovering from the holiday madness. I was out today in Reno and the traffic was much better. People were still kind of driving crazy, but overall the experience was much more tolerable, and so I'm very happy to have the majority of the holiday season behind us and people can kind of get back to business as usual, whatever that is. But we do have New Year's coming up, and that'll be a crazy time for a lot of people. So remember last night, last night we were looking at Sicily and Mount Etna and this straight line that looked like a light or something. I didn't know what that was, but it just was so odd seeming to me that it kind of funneled out right from the volcano, see, and it came down, and it looks kind of like a cloud, but it's just such straight lines on either side, and it's kind of a spiraling effect there, and comes all the way down past Malta. So no one commented on that, so I guess that was not of interest to anybody but me. But today on NASA Worldview we can see the smoke that's coming up out of the erupting volcano, and here we can see it's coming down to the south and across the island of Sicily, and then doing a wavy thing over the Mediterranean Sea. And here we have another slice and dice with different views here from this is what they do with NASA Worldview. So, you know, it would have been nice to see how far this smoke plume went, but we can't see it. We don't know. So there's that, and that's all I had to show you on NASA Worldview. We can't see Indonesia over there, or Krakatoa. It's in the one of those black zones where there's no data. That's just how it is on NASA Worldview. So I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to go over to the comments next and get that done. These are all underneath my video from last night. I had Snaglet22 said, "Thank you, Margo from Queensland, Australia." Thank you for tuning in, Snaglet22. I'm glad that you're here joining us. Valhalla 756 says, "So are you thinking that perhaps they are setting off undersea landslides to test weaponized tsunami?" Valhalla, my response to that is, I'm thinking they are setting off the undersea landslides, and they probably have already tested the weaponized tsunamis and probably have it pretty much perfected, and this was probably not a test. And given the fact, I've been thinking about this, the Krakatoa, the tsunami and everything, and the fact that it happened on December 21st, which was the winter solstice. We had a full moon on the 22nd, and so, you know, that it was just, everything is more vulnerable. We're more prone to earthquakes and things. And remember, we talked about in that paper, How to Wreck the Environment. Gordon MacDonald was talking about using a weak spot and then just accentuating it or tweaking it to make earthquakes or volcanoes go off, or underwater landslides, so to make things collapse and to make the water go. So, and that was back in 1968. So I don't think this was a test, and I also think that it might have been there might have been some dark magic involved in this, satanic ritual involved, since it was on the winter solstice. That is a high satanic holiday for rituals for the satanic brotherhood around the world. And so this could have been part of a ritual and a sacrifice, because so many people died. A lot of people are still missing. I think the last I heard, it was about 450 people that had died. A bunch of people are still missing. A lot of people were injured, and tens of thousands of people were displaced. The whole island there is just trashed, and there's a lot of misery and pain and suffering going on. And this is what the dark side does. They don't just come out and do a fast kill. It's usually a slow kill, because they want to inflict as much pain and suffering as possible, because these entities, these demonic entities behind all of this, feed on that energy of sorrow and pain and suffering and fear. And God knows there was plenty of that with that event, and they're expecting maybe another tsunami. I mean, there's a warning. And then this comment from Jody Connolly, they say, who are they? What are they spraying? Why? Even if the proverbial they could use the earth to make war, why? Bombs are cheaper. I'm confused. So, I'm just going to read what Valhalla has said, and then I'm going to do a little discussion. Valhalla 5-7 responded and said, the they is the military-industrial complex, which President Eisenhower warned us of. They are government bureaucrats with lifetime positions in alphabet agencies. Presidents come and go. These people are in position for decades. And I'm just going to inject, it's not just in the United States, it's worldwide. It's high-powered bureaucrats worldwide. It's not just in the United States. So, and he continues, I have no idea what they are spraying. Why are they spraying? They have a lot of reasons. One reason is to cover up the planet heating rapidly. Some of the spraying isn't spraying, it is the leftover particulates from coal plants, just exhaust. Ocean container ships using straight crude oil called bunker fuel. And as far as making war, keep in mind the government has looked into many a method to make war chemical weapons, biological, nuclear weapons. They even had psychic programs. Movies had been made on this, like the George Clooney movie about the man who stared at sheep. That was men who stared at goats, about remote viewing. And he says, all this is well known and all over the internet. You seem to have your head in the sand. I agree. And, this is out there, and anyone who is not aware of these things and that the government has been using its population for experiments all along. I mean, this is nothing new. So I know it's hard for people to wrap their minds around, and you think that, oh, they have our best interests at heart, but they don't. So otherwise we wouldn't be in the big mess that we're in. And then Valhalla says more, oh, and one more thing, why they would use the earth to make war. There is nothing they would love more to say cause a massive earthquake to Syria. It is called plausible deniability. If you drop bombs on people, try to kill a lot of people, then you have to justify it. And sometimes the reasons are evil reasons, so it is better that you can make it look like a natural disaster. Then you can come in and even help afterwards and try to make it look like you are the good guy when you are the one who caused it. Arsonists do this all the time. They will set a fire, then come in and act like they are a rescuer. Wake up, man. And that's true, Valhalla. That's true. And I said, Valhalla, don't forget MK Ultra and the Manchurian Candidates. And Valhalla says, Margo's Healing Corner. They've made so many films, books, articles, etc. on this subject of covert intelligence military programs. It isn't even funny. In fact, the real ones are even stranger than fictionalized ones. And I agree. And I got to thinking also about the volcano Krakatoa, the problem over there, and then Mount Etna, and all this sulfur dioxide coming into the atmosphere that I'm going to show you in a minute. And I thought, it could have been induced to get the sulfur dioxide up in the atmosphere to try to cool the planet, because that's what the climate scientists are saying they're going to start doing, and the governments are going to start doing in 2019, shooting sulfur dioxide up into the atmosphere. And so there's been a lot of opposition to them talking about this, and so instead of having to deal with getting a whole bunch of people on board and spending a lot of money to do that, why not just make a few volcanoes go off and a few earthquakes and release enough sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere to cool down the planet for a while, and also to continue with their depopulation agenda and get rid of some people, and also to cause a lot of suffering. So it would fulfill a lot of agendas in my, the way I'm looking at it. So I'm thinking it definitely could have been induced. And then Hugh Jazzoli says the methane just seems to get worse by the day. I'm not looking forward to summer. And then he gives a link to CAM's, Copernicus website. And this is methane from the global view at 500 HPA for Tuesday, the 25th. And it looks like we do have Wednesday data in that yesterday. So if you want to look at that, yeah, at 500 HPA, it's gathering in the Arctic, and it's looking really bad. And even with the new color codes, I mean, this is in the This is the wrong chart, I think. But this is even up into the 2000 and above, and there's the black that can go up to 10,000 parts per billion. And there's still stuff coming up out of the Arctic, and it's not just from cows. I mean, it's coming up from the ocean, you know. I mean, it's coming up everywhere. So there's that. So I agree with you. It's not looking good. So now I want to go over to cams. I'm going to start with sulfur dioxide, and we're going to look at these volcano areas over here where we've had the recent volcanoes, and also look just overall, the overall level of sulfur dioxide has increased. The green, this olive green, is 1 parts per million. The tan is 2 parts per million. The gold is 5 parts per million. That's like this color over here. The darker gold is 10 parts per million. And then the kind of brownish gold is 30. Wait, I can't see that. 20 parts per million. Then when you get into the red, it's 50. And then the dark red is 100 to 999 parts per million. So I've got base time back to Sunday, and this is where Krakatoa was erupting, or had erupted, or was still erupting. And we can see the huge amount of sulfur dioxide being released from Krakatoa. And now, one thing I've noticed, that since they changed the program, I don't know, a few months ago, remember how the charts were different and it would fill up the whole screen? You could actually see the data from one day to the next go by. But now, when you choose your base day, it doesn't take the data from the next day, is what I'm finding. So let's look at Monday, the 24th. And it was still releasing a lot of sulfur dioxide down here. Now this is Mexico, and they've got a couple of volcanoes going off over there. And it looks like Hawaii has calmed down some, and we've got some active volcanoes up in Alaska, and then down here in South America and in southern Africa, and then where you see the sulfur dioxide in the tan areas over like Saudi Arabia and over the eastern part of the United States and India and China and stuff. This is from industrial civilization. This is from burning fossil fuels and coal and stuff like that. And it can also come up from earthquakes. That's not, there we go. So when you see earthquake, so we had a double plume come up there. You saw that. So that was a double plume on Monday. So earthquakes, large earthquakes, can also release sulfur dioxide. So anywhere you have geologic activity, you can have a release of sulfur dioxide. And a lot of times what I've seen is that the release of the sulfur dioxide can come before an earthquake. It's like a forerunner. It's like when things are moving, it's like it comes up first before the earthquake happens. So that was still going off on Tuesday. Now, But we didn't see anything over here in Italy on Tuesday. Now I want to show you Wednesday. Look at the map now from yesterday. Here we have, this is from Mount Etna, and this is over to the east of Mount Etna. We'll have to look at that. And then down here, Krakatoa, and then China is really red. That's from industrial stuff. So let's get this. We'll run this for a day. And Thursday there was a lot of release as well. And see, it kept going off over here on the east side, and now it's going off into the forecast period. So that was Wednesday. Now look at today. You're going to be shocked. Look at this. Here's Mount Etna, and you can see this plume of the sulfur dioxide, how it's already gone over and up, and now there's a new plume coming up over here. There was an earthquake right over there, and there were some earthquakes to the east. So in order to get a close-up view of this, I'm going to hit the print button, and it makes that view into a PDF file, and we can click on the plus or minus tags up here and zoom in on the picture. So, and you can download it, you can save it, you can paste it into other applications, put it on a website, put it on a Facebook page, and you've got all the data right here. And this is a really nice thing to be able to do. And so here's from Mount Etna, and it swirled around. Probably the jet stream was going that way and swirled it around. Here's Krakatoa, and it was coming around. Now let's go in a little closer and see what else. It looks like we have another release right up here, and it looks like, I'm not sure if we had an earthquake. I know we had an earthquake in Mongolia, but so let's keep that in mind when we look at the earthquakes. So this is a lot of sulfur dioxide being released. So, and we did see the evidence of the beaming and the spraying over the Mediterranean in the last few days. It was calm today, but that could have induced the earthquakes and the volcano over on Sicily, definitely. So I know a lot of people are having a hard time wrapping their mind around this spraying and beaming and stuff like that if you're not used to it, but it's real. And I've given you papers and things that you can look at, and so to act like you don't know what's going on, you know, it's not an excuse. You can do your own research, and anybody who doesn't know about these things now, they haven't been watching all my videos, and you can't just come in and watch one here and one there. This is like a classroom, and we're learning as we go, and we're building on old information as we go. And so if you missed the old information, you need to go back to my older videos and see what you can find. And you know, I can't spoon feed everybody every single day. I'm going to close this out. So here we have USGS, all magnitudes for the last 24 hours. And we've got 308 earthquakes showing on the map. So I think my theory is correct that the people making the earthquakes, making the extra earthquakes, took off Christmas, and so they went down temporarily, and now we're back up. We just had one up here on Iceland, it looks like. And it's been very active since my report last night. And I'd like to just start though with 2.5 and higher magnitude earthquakes, because most of the ones under that are going to be Hawaii, Alaska, and then the little minor quakes coming down through the U.S. and over on the Dominican Republic. So I'm just going to go around the world on this larger map. We have 56 earthquakes that have registered 2.5 and higher in the last 24 hours. So let's go to this new one. It was 121 kilometers south of Akureyri, Iceland, 10 kilometers deep. It was right on the island, and it was right on the plate line, that tectonic line between the North American and the European plates. So 4.7, that's enough that people could feel that. It probably didn't do a lot of damage. And down here South Sandwich Islands, we've had 3. We had a 5.1, 10 kilometers deep, and a 5.1, 10 kilometers deep, and a 4.9, 10 kilometers deep, all on the red line down there. So those are big, but since they were in the ocean, they probably didn't do any damage anywhere. Now let's go to this one over here. This one was 4.6 kilometers, 4.6 magnitude, 39 kilometers south of Latakia, Greece, 10 kilometers deep. Now here's Sicily. So we don't see any earthquakes over here today, but right across, and we saw Latakia's had some earthquakes in that region, and it's on a plate line there. We've seen some earthquakes in that region in the last week or so, so that's active. And then over here, now this is kind of where we saw some more of the sulfur dioxide coming up. Here's there was a 4.2 in Turkey at 14.2 kilometers deep, and that was 13 kilometers north of Ilik, Turkey. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Then there was this one down in Iran of 4.2, 20 kilometers west of Sarpol-e-Zahab, Iran, 10 kilometers deep. So there's those. Okay, so I was over here. Now this one is new. This is a 4.5 in the ocean, 14 kilometers northeast of Bamboo Flat, India, 86 kilometers deep. Let's go down here to Indonesia. So we were over here. Okay, here's Sumatra, here's Java, and so Krakatoa is right over here. We don't see any earthquakes registering today. Here's a 4.2, 140 kilometers deep. Again, these are deep earthquakes, and when they're deeper, it's going to shake around the planet. And remember, I said last night that I was anticipating some larger earthquakes, like up in Alaska, in places where they've been smaller, and you're going to see that that's happened, and an uptick, and we've seen that as well. Here's a 4.5 at northeast of Papua New Guinea, 44 kilometers deep. Here's a 4.7 at southwest of Taran, Papua New Guinea, 10 kilometers deep. And here's a 5.4, 94 kilometers west-northwest of Kira, Solomon Islands, 71 kilometers deep. So that's the biggest one. And then we had one over here on this red line, a 4.9 at Tonga, 10 kilometers deep. So now let's move up. This was at Japan, of 4.4, 64 kilometers east-northeast of Yonaguni, Japan, 99 kilometers deep. Let's see, that's in the ocean. So it was actually near Taiwan, actually off the coast of Taiwan there. And here's this one on the red line, 4.8, that was 10 kilometers deep. It was 148 kilometers north-northeast of Chichishima, Japan, Chichishima. And then up here we had a 4.6, it looks like right on the tippy end of Kamchatka at Ozernovsky, Russia, 51 kilometers deep. It's in the ocean there. And then remember, this is where we had the 7.3 earthquake off the coast of Kamchatka. We've had 3 more aftershocks. Here's a 4.9, 4.6, and 4.3, all 10 kilometers deep, right on the red line. And so there's all that. Let's go to Hawaii while we're here in the Pacific Ocean. And Hawaii has had a 2.6. Now they've had some small ones, I know that, so we'll wait and look more at Hawaii on the other map. Down here in South America, here's a 4.0 at Calingasta, Argentina, 124 kilometers deep. And here's a 4.4 at Yave, Peru, 203 kilometers deep. So that's going to shake up some things around the plates with it that deep. Now, of note, Venezuela has had 2 large earthquakes on land. They had a 5.5 that was 10 kilometers deep, 5 kilometers east-northeast of San Diego, Venezuela. And then, like 30 minutes later, less than 30 minutes later, they had a 5.0 at the same place. So, I don't know what's going on there. Notice that there's a red line that goes right along next to that, where the Bermuda plate comes in there. Let's look at Mexico. There was a 4.4 at El Realejo, Nicaragua, 116 kilometers deep. 4.3 at Acajutla, El Salvador, 73 kilometers deep. 4.1 at Paredon, Mexico, 54 kilometers deep. And 4.2 at Tlacotepeque, Mexico, 72 kilometers deep. So these are all lined up, all in that 4 range. See how they're lined up in a row? They're right next to that red line. So it's almost like a straight line that they're lined up there. Now, let's hop over to our all magnitudes map. And let's go over to Hawaii. There have been 8 earthquakes, and they're all on the mainland, and they were small. Looks like the largest one was like a 2.4 and down to a 1.8 or so, 1.7. So those were small, so we're still having some small ones over there. Now, let's go over to Dominican Republic. We've had 10 earthquakes over there in the last 24 hours. 2.5, 2.8, 2.8, 1.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.9, 2.0, 3.0. That one was the largest one, the 3.0, 58 kilometers deep, and 2.5. So these are not just at surface. We've had, here's 82 kilometers deep, 58, 19, 51, 65, 18, 10, 62, and 19, and 31. So those are peppered around. Now let's go up to United States. We've had one over here, a 2.5 at Ridgely, Tennessee, 6 kilometers deep. Up here in the Yellowstone area, we've had a little baby one up there, a 0.4 at Old Faithful Geyser, then a 2.3 at Jackson, Wyoming. This is in the Yellowstone region. Nothing else up there. We'll come on down. Utah has had some more. we've had some small ones. The largest one, here's a 2.1 at Parowan, Utah. There's another one there, a little one. Why is it doing that? And then we've got 3 right here on the Utah and Arizona border. Right here, you see that? We've got 3 or 4. They're small. Here's a 1.4 at Beaver Dam. See, it's right on the line there. 1.7, that's right below. 1.3 and 1.6. Where's that one showing? I don't even see. At Enoch, Utah. Oh, it's right up here at the edge of the map. Right there is the 1.6. So I think that's an unusual place right there on the border. But anyway, so let's do Nevada next. Okay, we've had a small earthquake up here north of Pyramid Lake. 1.1 at Gerlach, Nevada. 0 kilometers deep. Now that's interesting. Uh-oh. So 0 kilometers deep. I wonder what did that. It's one. Well, they have a quarry out there. They do get gypsum. I think it's a gypsum quarry out there at Gerlach. It could have been from that. I've driven by there a lot because I used to go camping out there, and I've been all around Smoke Creek Desert, and I haven't been to Black Rock. I've been to Smoke Creek though. Reno. Here's a 0.6 up in the mountains near Mount Rose. And here's a 0 magnitude earthquake at Tahoe Vista, California. This is right on the north end of Lake Tahoe. 7.4 kilometers deep. And it looks like we've had 3 little earthquakes up here. These are microquakes. Here's a 0, a -0.1, and a 0.2. Now I emailed USGS to ask what the minus earthquakes were, and they said that they came up minus due to some algorithm formula, and that they were still earthquakes, but they were so tiny that people couldn't feel it. But according to the old Richter scale, and they've got new technology now, it would register like a -0.1 on the Richter scale, because the measuring equipment is so much more sophisticated. They can measure down to those little microquakes now. And here at Carson City, we had 1.1, or looks like we had 2. There was a 2.1 and a 1.1 right there on Prison Hill again. So there's that. Now let's go on down here. Going down further south in Nevada. Here is Hawthorne 2.2. We normally see stuff down here I don't get real upset when I see just them peppered around. You know, that's not real big. But when I see swarms together, that kind of gets me going. There's a new one that just came in. What is that? That's a 1.1 at Bridgeport, California. That's an active area. That's up in the mountains. That's near Mammoth, I think. Let's see. Trying to finish up Nevada. Okay, we had an explosion that registered a 1.5 magnitude at Tonopah, Nevada, and it was 0.1 kilometers deep. And that took place at 2:19 p.m. today, Pacific time. So there's a lot of mining around there. There's quarries and gold mines and stuff like that, and gypsum and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So that's probably from mining operation. Now further down here, oh, here's a larger one. Let's look at that. Here's a 2.4 at Goldfield. That's a big mining area at Goldfield. And then down here, this is more like in the Nevada test site. Here's a cluster. Remember we saw that cluster yesterday? Look at those. There's 15 all right there. And then some up there. 15 right here on this map. Isn't that something? So this is at Beatty, Nevada. And these are microquakes. Some of them minus 0.1, then a 1, 4, minus 0.3, 0.3, minus 0.2, 1, minus 0.1, 1, minus 0.3, minus 0.2, 2.2. Here's the biggest one, a 2.2, 0.4, 0.2, 0.1. Yucca airstrip. Remember they were gonna store nuclear waste in Yucca Mountain? I'm not sure where Yucca Mountain is. Well, there's Yucca airspace. If they're working on that, they could have been blasting or something, trying to clear out. Anyway, those are sizable. The 2.2 is sizable. Then here's some more over here. Some small ones. So let's go to California now. I think that's pretty much it for Nevada. Let's go down to the southern part. We'll start down here in Mexico. A 2.6 at Tecate, Baja, California, Mexico. 21 kilometers deep. Then I'm just going to read these off. There's well, let's go in a little closer. This whole Los Angeles area. I didn't mean to go out like that. Or, yeah, in like that. 35 earthquakes there. See, here's the San Andreas fault line. This red line coming down. So these are mainly twos. Well, that's a 2. 2 is the highest at Julian. That's the highest that I'm seeing so far. So they're under 1 and in the 1 range. Here's a 2 at Brawley, California, over there. Here's a 1.5, 1, 2.6. Oh, I showed that at Tecate. 2.1 at Collings, California. Up here. Then in the 1s and under 1s, like 0.5. And 2.0 at Banning, California. Over here. So that's quite a few. So let's go on up this San Andreas line. We've had some more coming up here. Here's a 2.3 at the Pinnacles. At another 2.3. And then we've had more over here in the Mammoth area. See, they're popping up. We looked at that. That's a 2.1. Let's go over here. This is Mono Lake. This is a highly active volcano area. 1.2. And then here's some down here, St. Tom's, near Mammoth. Mammoth Lakes is right here. There's a 1.1. They're small, but these are old volcanoes. If you watch Dutch Sense, he zooms in and shows you all the old volcano cones and stuff like that. So we're seeing a few small ones peppered around. Let's go over to the geysers now and see how many they had today. 22. And these are small in the low ones and under. There's a 1.4. Here's a, okay, that's Carson City. We saw that. So looks like the 2.0 was the largest over here in the geysers today. So then there was this one off the coast of California, right on this red line, 2.2 at Petrolia, California. This was last night. And it was 16 kilometers deep. And here's this one at Mount Shasta. That's a 1.5 at Mount Shasta. And this was after my report last night. And we did see another one at Mount Shasta. So this is the second one. So this is at 22:31 Pacific time. So at 8:30 last night, this one came in. Now, up here in the North Pacific, we have a 2.1 west of Seattle, 16 kilometers deep. There was an explosion up here in Canada that registered a 2.3 magnitude. Now this reminds me of that explosion over at Oroville that said chemical explosion. But see, these only say explosion. And we saw the other one down at Tonopah that said blast. So you're seeing, you know, that these are all listed different ways depending on what they are. So this was an explosion. So for whatever reason. minus 0.7 kilometers deep. So that was up in the mountain or on a hill or something. It was above ground. So they were on a hill, and it sounds like they were blasting through something. That's what it sounds like to me. And then a 2.2 at Granite Falls, Washington, 14 kilometers deep. So now let's go on up to Alaska, and we'll be done for tonight. 2.5. Now, first of all, I want to go back to this map first. This is the one with 2.5 magnitude and higher on the map. We're going to go up here to Alaska because we've seen over here, we've had some larger ones up in the Anchorage area, and this is what I was saying would happen. We had a 4.5 at 5:37 this morning, and then at 6:21, less than an hour later, there was a 4.9 at Anchorage, and we can see them on the map here. So this is in that same area where that large 7.0 earthquake happened a few weeks, I can't remember, like 10 days ago. Might have been longer than that. We have a lot of 3s, 3.1, 3.3, 2.7, but I'm really concerned about these 4s because that's increasing, and here's a 4.5 at Chirikoff Island, Alaska, 38 kilometers deep. So the size of the earthquakes are, the magnitude is increasing, and on this map here we have 133 earthquakes showing. And let's see if there's any. Here's some more that are not in the map area. Let's see if we can get all of Alaska in the map area. There we go. 144. So they can have between 50 and 100 usually per day, and so stuff over that I think is, you know, more than they usually have. And see the cluster still here in Anchorage, that's 110 on the map, including the 4.5 and 4.9. And see these red ones, they're still coming in. They're coming in fast. This is just in the last few minutes. So I'm expecting more stuff to happen up here in Alaska. So the others are down in the 2s and under, so I'm not going to go over all of those. So that's my report for tonight. I hope you're enjoying these and keeping updated on what's going on around the world. I just think this is a very precarious time that we're in, and we need to be as well informed as we can be with what's going on so that we can kind of be better prepared to face the future. And time is short, and if time is short, you know, what does that mean to you? And you know, I do a spiritual message because I believe at the end of life, that's a spiritual time. And the end of life, all life on the planet is what they're talking about because of everything coming down, that's definitely spiritual, and you can't deal with that with your left brain, with your logical brain. It doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense, but that's why it's so hard for people to wrap their minds around. But it is, and so I recommend everyone get their spiritual houses in order. I love all of you, and until next time, God bless, go in peace, and good night.